Hello everyone, myself Pancham Singh, Assistant Professor in IT Department, AKGC Ghaziabad. I am going to deliver next lecture on operation on processes. So in this lecture I will discuss about the what type of operation you will perform in the processes. So now we are going to discuss one by one. So system must provide mechanism for process creation. So definitely we are going to create the process, we are going to terminate the process, and we are going to detail the next information about the process. So processes can be created, process can be deleted, processes can be truncated. So there are different operations we can perform on the processes. So process creation is very important here. So parent process can create children process. So any parent process can create the children processes, which in the turns create other processes, forming a tree of processes. So if you are going to create the children process, so definitely we will start to create from the root node, that is called the parent node, or you can say parent process. So parent process have the power to create the children process. So generally process identified and managed by a process identifier. So if you're going to identify about the process, so definitely we can identify by the process ID or process identifier. So that is PID. So process ID basically indicate which type of processes we have created, and now which type of process we are going to create next. So that will give the information about the process. Let's say we have created the first process, that it will indicate process P1. Now we can create next process that indicate the process P2. So similarly we are going to create one by one the processes. So PID we can find out, so it will indicate that particular process which you have created. So resource sharing options, so how you will share the resource among the parent process and children processes. So parent and children share all resources, so both can share the resources between them. Children share a subset of the parents resources. Children share their resources among the subset of the parent processes. So parent and child share no resources. So one time parent and child cannot share the resources, but child can share the resource to the upper side of the parent processes. So parents and child, if they are in the subset form, then they can share the resources. Otherwise, second process, or you can second parent process, cannot share the resource to the another parent process, because they are different in the state. So execution options, parent and children execute concurrently. So parent and child both can execute concurrently. So same time they can execute their work in the system. So parent wait until children terminate. So definitely if children will terminate first, then parent will terminate at the last. So this is the state of the process. If you will terminate the parent process first, then definitely and the children is working, then you will lose the data, or you can say you will lose some information which are running by the children process. So definitely it is a system. So first you will terminate the children process, then after you will terminate the parent process, so that you can save your data and you can secure the system. So this is the tree of the processes in the Linux operating system. So you can create the tree structure of the different processes. So in the first login state, so let's say PID1. So this is the parent process. So parent process can create next three children process in the lower mode, and that child process can create the sub child process. So they are interlinked with each other, and if any child want to share the information to the parent process, they can share to the information to the parent processes in the structure manner. So what is the process creation? So process creation in the Unix operating system. So address space like a child duplicate of parent. So child is nothing but it is a duplicate of the parent. Child has a program loaded into memory. So child has a program loaded into it. So definitely if a child is going to start execution, so first it will load the program inside the memory, then after that child will start to execution. So in the Unix example, now we are going to discuss like a fork system called create new process. So in Unix operating system, so if you are going to create the new process, definitely you will use the system call like fork system call, then you can create the new process. For execution system call like exec system call used for after a fork to replace the process's memory space with a new program. So execution system call, basically it will start to execution, and if you're going to use that particular system call, and after that the fork system call, so fork system call will be replaced by the execution system call in the Unix operating system, or you can say in the Unix OS. So here is the diagram, you can see here, so how they are executing one by one. So fork system call will create the new child process, and new child process want to execution, so it will get the system call like exec, then after it will start executing, and after executing this system call, then process will go for the termination state, or you can say it want to exit the system, then it can exit from the system. So this is the diagram. Here you can see here how process like process fork is creating the new child process, and how new child process is executing inside the system, and how it will go for the exit state. And if that process is in the exit state and somehow it will terminated, then after that process will move in the waiting state and it will resumes. So they are interconnected with each other, and they are executing in the sequential manner. So this is a C program for forking separate processes here. So here is the we are using the code for create a new process like fork system call. So let's say here int main and PID stand for process ID here. So fork child process, now child process can be created by the fork system call. So PID which is equals to fork system call here. If PID less than 0, it will show the errors. So if process ID the value of process ID is less than 0, then system will give the error. Or fprintf stder fork failed, it means that if the value of the PID is less than 0, it will show the errors and it will show the fork failed. And if else if PID equals to 0, it means this show the child process, and the child process means it will show the execpl bin slash is the null state where the process will start in the execution. It means that if PID equals to 0, it will go you have initialized the value for that particular process ID equals to 0, and the process is getting the permission to create the new child process. So this is the code where you can say that how you can create new process in the Unix operating system. So creating a separate process by window API. So by using the window operating system, so you can create the different processes. So in the window operating system, we are not going to discuss more. So you can understand how we are going to create new process by using the window API. So what about the process termination? So how process will terminate after execution? Process executes last statement and then ask the operating system to delete it using the exit system call. So if process is going to terminate it, so definitely process will terminate it only after when the process will finish their work, or you can say the process will exit their state, then after process will move for the termination state. So returns status data from child to parent by waiting state. So if you are going to the waiting state, it means that the process will waiting in the waiting state, and it will give the next state, so that process will move in the child state and it will go for the execution. So processes resources are deallocated by operating system. So processes can be deallocated as per the requirement if the process is in the waiting state, and that process can be moved for in the ready state, and after that it will go for the running state, then it will go for the termination state. So parent may terminate the execution of children process. So parent process have the authority, or you can say parent process have the power. Parent may terminate the execution of children process using the abort. So by using the abort system call, or you can say by using the abort system call, you can, a parent have the power to terminate the children process. So child has executed allocated resources. Task assigned to child is no longer required. The parent is existing and the operating system does not allow a child to continue if its parent terminated. So if the parents has terminated their system, then child will not get the permission to execute their program or process, because the root node of that particular system, or you can say parent, has terminated. So child will not access the data or information and it will not execute the programs. So process termination in the continue manner. So the some operating systems do not allow child to exit if its parent has terminated. So in some operating system, basically it will not give the permission when parent had terminated, then children will also continue their program. So cascading techniques, all children, grandchildren, etc. are terminated. So in this technique, basically if the parents has terminated, so all children process automatically will terminated, because it will not get the resource from the parent side. The parent process may wait for the termination of a children process by using the wait system call. If the children is going to terminate the system, so if children is terminating the process, then after, at the last, parent will terminate the system, so that we can easily communicate to each other and the required information will share among the children and it will not lost. So these are the operation. So if you are going to terminate the system, definitely you will take care about the children processes. If the children processes is running, you will not terminate the parent process. Otherwise, children process will terminated automatically when the parent process will terminate. So here is the multi-process architecture. Chrome browser is given here. So many web browsers can run as single process, and if one website causes trouble, the entire browser can hang on or crash. So in the Chrome browser, definitely if browser is hang on, or your browser is facing the problem, so all running processes, all running program will stop working, because that particular browser is facing the problem. So this is the example, you can say, by multi-processor architecture. You can explain with the help of the example, like if browser is facing any issue, a browser is stop working, then all running processes will automatically stop working. So Google Chrome browser is multi-processes with 3 different types of processes. So browser process manages user interface, disk and network input output. So browser, basically it will manage the interface like disk and the network. So which type of network is there and which type of interface is there. So browser is automatically manage all details. So renderers process renders which pages deals with the HTML, JavaScript, new renderers creates for each website opened. So renderer is another process which is going to deals with the different pages like HTML pages, JavaScripts and all. So here you can see the diagram. So how you are running that particular different processes here, and if the browser is going to stop working, or you can say browser is facing any errors, so definitely all running programs or process automatically stop working due to the stop of the browsers. So this is a very important topic in the operating system, and now I am going to discuss about the inter-process communication. So in short terms, you can say this is the IPC, that inter-process communication. So process within a system may independent or cooperating process. So you can say what is the process and how the process are represented. Process within a system may be independent or cooperating. Independent means the process is not dependent on another process. And what about the cooperating process? A process is running state, definitely it will cooperate to another process whenever it will running or whenever it will waiting. So for example, in the buffer model, like say a shared buffer is given here, is if one process using that common shared buffer, so second process want to access that particular buffer, so it will not access till now until unless that particular process will leave that buffer or leave that resources which are used by that particular process. So definitely in the cooperating process, you will cooperate to another process for using that particular shared buffer or shared memory. So cooperating process can affect or be affected by the other processes including shared data. So definitely we have discussed here. So cooperating process definitely whatever it is using or whatever it is sharing the data or information must be cooperated by the another process that can be used by that particular process. So regions for cooperating processes, what are the regions we are using the cooperating process? So information sharing is the very important task is here. Computation speed up, modularity, convenience. So these are the regions through which, or you can say by which, we are using the cooperating process. So like information sharing is the very important in the operating system. So how you will share the information to another process, how you will increase the computation speed up, how you will modularity, basically why it is important in the operating system, how it is more convenient for the another process when they are using the same resource in the common buffer or common memory. So cooperating process need inter-process communication. So definitely if you are going to use the shared area, a shared resource, so you will use the concept of the cooperating process. So one process communicate to another process, one process can share the resource to another process only with the help of the cooperating process. So cooperating process is divided into two main categories, which is very important and it will ask in the paper many times. So two modes of IPC is given here, shared memory and message passing. So by shared memory and message passing, you can communicate. So one process want to communicate to another process. So process can communicate to another process by using the shared memory or by using the message passing techniques. So here cooperating processes we are going to continue here. So independent process cannot affect or be affected by the execution of another process. So you know very well, independent means no one can depend to another one. So independent process cannot affect or be affected by the execution of another process because it is independent. What about the cooperating process? Cooperating process can affect or be affected by the execution of another process if one program is running or one process is executing. So second process is want to use that common resource, it will not use till now because that resource is used by the another process. So they want to communicate to each other, they want to cooperate to each other. Then after the first process will leave that resource, then second process will use that resource. So what are the advantages of the cooperating process is very important here. Advantage of process cooperating is the information sharing, computation speed up, modularity and convenience. So these are the advantages of cooperating processes. So now we are going to discuss one important problem here is the producer-consumer problem in the cooperating process. So paradigm for the cooperating processes, a producer process produces information that is consumed by the consumer process. So producer and consumer, they are using the common buffer, or you can say a buffer is divided into two categories. One is unbounded buffer and second is the bounded buffer. So unbounded means the size of the buffer is not defined. And what about the bounded buffer? The buffer size is defined, or you can say the size of the buffer is fixed. So user can use that particular buffer in two different manner, like in bounded buffer manner and unbounded buffer manner. So for example, if process P1 is producing the items and process P2 want to consume the item, so process P2 is only consume that particular item. After that, if process P1 will stop producing the item. So in cooperating manner, process P1 and P2 will cooperate to each other. Then after, they will communicate to each other. They will use the common area, common buffer at the same time. So this is the very important for producer-consumer problem, and they are using the common area, common buffer in the bounded buffer or unbounded buffer manner. So here is the code for the bounded buffer shared memory solution. So shared data is given here. Let's say you have defined the buffer size 10. So you are going to use the data structure and the items. So let item buffer size, you have defined the buffer size. So what items we are going to produce. So initially int in equals to 0, int out equals to 0. So at the initial state, there is no item in the buffer and there is no output is given here. So initially both are in the 0 state, and now process P1 want to produce the item. So how many items process P1 can produce here? So total number of items can be produced by the process P1 is 10 items. So then after process P2 will start consuming the item. So definitely one process at a time can use that particular shared buffer, and second process after that they can use that buffer area. So in producer consumer, they use the cooperating to each other, and they will use the shared buffer, and they will complete their work. So here is the bounded buffer producer process. So how producer is start to producing the item. So item next produce, it means that it will check the buffer size. So produce an item in the next produce while in +1 percentile buffer size equals to out. So first it will check the buffer size, how many items you have produced and what are the size of the buffer. If the size of the buffer is available, then after producer will produce the next item, and again it will check the size of the buffer. If the buffer size is available, and the producer now will produce the next item. So it will check the first buffer size, then after it will produce, and counter will increase the counter, program counter will increase the value, keep +1, +2, +3 and so on. So it will give the counter will increase the next item. So how many items you have produced and what are the buffer size. If the number of counters, the value of the counter and the buffer size is equal, or you can say same, and now if producer want to produce the item, then the item will be more than the buffer size, then it will show the errors, then producer will not produce the item. Now get control to the consumer side, and now in this PPT I am going to discuss about the how consumer start to consuming the item. So consumer start the consuming the items from the buffer size is full. So consumer will consuming the item one by one, and it will minus, so counter will minus the value. So and if the value is counter is going to 0, it means that all items has been consumed by the consumer side. So consumer will start to consuming the item from the size of the buffer is 10. So 10 items are there in the buffer, and consumer will start consuming one by one. And if the counter is going to reduce the value 0, or you can say counter is going to 0, or you can see buffer size is going to 0, and there is no item, then consumer will start consuming the item. So this is the very most important example for the shared memory or shared buffer, where cooperating processes, let's process P1 and process P2, how they want to communicate to each other, how they can use the common area, common buffer for data sharing and consumption. Thank you.